We'll start out with the funding application. We'll start out first with,
Kevin, is your mic on?
yep,
Okay, now I hear it.
we'll start out with Mitchell Figure Skating Club, 7th Annual Palace Ice Festival. We'll have Brian Boltzy's request $3,000 to $4,000.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the opportunity to look at us again this year. I guess first of all, today's a bad day for my business. I'm in the power industry, so it's touch and go. So luckily I was able to come and meet with you folks. Again, I'll keep it brief. We're a nonprofit organization, as most of you know. We're governed and sanctioned by the United States Figure Skating Association. And basically our club mission is to provide the youth and adults of the Mitchell and surrounding communities another form of a skating option. That it's also a skill that they'll have lifelong. Just a little bit of overview. We do have 7 board members. We do have 2 new co-skating directors, the volunteer positions this year. And we have higher level coaches that come from Sioux Falls and Vermilion. She's actually a student at USD, but she's from Ames, Iowa. So luckily to have that. And then we have our local Learn to Skate coaches. Just an overview this year. We have 37 Learn to Skate skaters and 7 higher level skaters, so a 44 total, which is very good because we actually got 14 new skaters this year. We did unfortunately lose 4. 2 families moved. 1 went into the school activities and 1 is in volleyball, so I think she's going to start second half. So actually it's a net of 10 skaters, which is really good because typically we go 2 to 3 to 4 on average if we're lucky. So and currently the skaters that are on our club are from the Mitchell, Huron, Woonsocket, Parkston, and we have skaters that come from Kimball and Puckawanna as well. And just an overview, we skate on Tuesdays, late afternoons and early evening. We work around hockey. They have practices, it works good. Fridays, evenings late, and then Saturdays, and then we have Sunday afternoon ice. So all works out very well. Just a little bit about the 2022 overview there. You know, our judges, we have to have higher level U.S. figure skating level judges that come in for our skaters, for our higher level ones, and then also it really aids in our lower level ones. As you can see, last year we had judges from Georgia, Florida, New York, and Oklahoma. And they're judges, record keepers, things like that. Very lucky that a few of our judges each year either judge in the U.S. Nationals, and we've had a couple that judge in Olympics. So to get that kind of caliber that come here is awesome. And in 22, we had 35 skaters representing 5 different clubs, and 23 so far. We're still registering. We have 38 skaters representing 5 clubs again this year. And our judges, so far, we need 1 more yet, but we've got 1 from California, 2 from New Mexico, and our accountant is coming from actually Rapid City, so there's U.S. figure skating representatives out there as well. The one thing I'd highlight on our 2022, and I really was surprised by it, but we were sanctioned by the United States Figure Skating Association, so you know the big COVID mask mandate deal. In July, we actually had, it was July of 22 that they lifted their mask mandate, so I know around here everything was lifted way earlier, but our competition last year we even had to wear masks, so that was a struggle with kids and everybody, but they all did very well. So you know, it's a good deal for the kids, the young skaters, and everything. I know Aaron asked me a little bit on the volunteers. I think you guys are trying to reach out a little bit for other volunteer organizations. Our volunteers, we have to have some of them that are Safe Skate certified. All our board is as well for all the guidelines. And then we have parents that work with the judges and so on. So we try to do between 7 and 10 volunteers each day, running records, doing all the stuff, doing the locker monitors, doing everything and so on. So it kind of gives you an idea. Currently we're looking at January 13th through the 15th. Still finalizing some of the schedules. We still have skaters signing up. Tentatively Friday and Saturday, and then most likely a coaching clinic on Sunday, put off by a high-level coach for our skaters that want to stay. So, it draws people, grandparents, and everywhere else from around the region as well. So that's why we look at as aids to the community and also our kids. So you saw our numbers last year on the financials a little bit. If it wouldn't have been for you guys, we would have lost a little money. But it's all about the kids. So this year, our expenses, we're estimating them yet. As you guys know, everything's gone up a little bit. We're trying to trim as where we can a little bit, maybe on some plane fares or on judges, how we're expenses, but they are what they are. Our ice times, the city ice went up a little bit, but we still have other fees with United States Figure Skating. So these are estimates on where we're at for 2023. We're trying to sell program ads into our competition book. Have good luck with that. That offsets some expenses plus gives some advertising as well. We're going to try to hit that a little harder. In our flyers we send out, we have our hotel sponsors listed in there. Well, we can't control where they stay, but we do work with some hotels that are really good to deal with, and our skating families that come in. So I guess that's the highlights. I'll keep it short. I know you guys got a lot of stuff to cover and the weather's bad, so if you have any questions for me.
I know Jessica has been in. Do you have other coaches this year too for the figure skating?
Coaches as far as high level or junior coach?
No, for the program.
Yes, we have, actually we use our club skaters for our learn to skate coaches, Doug. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches that we pay. We have 2 junior coaches that work with the beginner coaches. And then we also have a lady that she's a figure skater from Madison, Sioux Falls area. Her husband works for the Davidson County Sheriff's Department now. She moved in. She is a high accelerated coach. We have one student from DWU that helps us coach, plus the 2 higher level coaches. So that's what we have for our coaches. So we really try to utilize our 7 higher level skater coaches to work with our younger skaters, because it's good for them, good for skills, and also it's good for those younger skaters. It helps them bond as they grow through the club. So.
You guys have a lot of expenses, bringing judges in from all over the country. Have you got any other sources of income? Do you have like a program you sell advertising for, or how do you fund the whole thing?
Yeah, it's in our expense sheets there. We have the judges' travel, the meals. We have spirit wear, gifts, skater medals, program printing, office supplies, and test session fees. So our income comes basically from skater registrations, our program sponsor ads that we sell. Of course, the Sports Authority helps us out immensely. And test session practice and test session fees, that's basically our income. Throughout the year, Jim, we do fundraisers to try to offset some of our other club expenses, but most generally, we charge our skaters throughout the year what our coaches cost, and if you want private lessons, you pay for those over and above. Okay. So we try to at least break even for the year or make a little money so we can keep working and bringing coaching clinics in and seminars for our in-house skaters to keep building their skills.
How many participants were you planning for?
Right now, Dave, we have 30, I got it wrote down here. I gotta find my sheet here. They're still registering, but we have 38 skaters signed up right now, currently. We had 35 last year, so we got 38 skaters this year in the events.
So you're estimating 4,400 in registration fees. How many would that be?
It all depends on how many. That was based off the registration fees that we have currently, Dave, plus maybe a few extra. The registration fees depend on how many level events each skater wants to participate in. So like if one skater wants to come in and do 2 events, that's what it is. If they want to come in and do 4 events, then that's what it is. So, and the higher levels you are, the more it costs you for the events. So Like my daughter's in it, she's doing 4 events. There's a couple other ones that are in it doing 2 events or 1 event. So it all depends. Your younger skaters, it's really a beginning tool for them. So you get your 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds out there. It's something new to them. So a couple weeks ago, we just came back from Pier. They had their first ever competition up there, and it went really well. They had a lot of support for it, and it went off very well. So I guess the biggest thing is there's Sioux Falls, Watertown, Brookings. All of them have competitions too. Some are USFS and some are ISI, which is a different judging levels. So, but
Do you have to bring in this caliber of judges?
for our higher level skaters, when they're in there, yes. The other thing is the test sessions, like our 7 skaters that come in that are higher level, that's the only place they can test is at these sessions. So in Pier, there was some that tested. We have a test session. Watertown is going to have a test session at the end of the year. So that is where those 7 can only test. Our younger skaters, they test through our club. We have a test session at the end of the first session, at the end of the second session. So those younger skaters can be tested off of our in-house skaters as they get up through the basic skills level. But when they get into the free skate levels, when they start dropping axles and stuff like that, then it's a little higher caliber judge. So, and then there's dance judges, so on, so.
Just a quick question. I see your expense for the ice went up about $500 projected. Is that because you're using it longer or?
We're using, the rental went up a little bit, but we have some more USF, like I mentioned earlier, Tim, we have some more USFS fees. The city only went up $2 an hour on the ice. These are estimates, so, but we have a little more fees in it as well, Tim,
Okay.
so. And like I said, they're projections, so it could be a little less, but I don't want to, and when you guys, and like I told Aaron too, I mean, it's totally up to you folks. I don't like to ask for a dollar amount. I know you guys like to have an idea. Like last year, you gave us 3,000, so you can see where the 3,000 went to. We had a little profit. So this year, our expenses may be a little more. We're going to try to keep them pretty close to the same. So it's entirely up to you folks. And the question in there, if we don't get anything, we still move on. It's a nonprofit. We'll make it work. So.
Any other questions for Brian? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Next, we'll go to Dakota Riptide, last chance meet, February 14th, request of $2,000. We'll have Jason Weedy talk on that.
I also have Rob Shelsky here with us. We're both new board members to the club. I think everyone's probably saw it in the public, in the paper, that our club has gone through some changes this year, where we're still in search of a full-time head coach, and we had some board members kind of excuse themselves from their duties. So a couple of us that have been on there, or haven't been on there in the past, kind of stepped up here. So Dakota Riptide is, as everyone, hopefully everyone's aware, it's the local swim club in town. We are consisted of just Mitchell and Huron as well. Those are our 2 main places. We also have some swimmers from Chamberlain, Miller, and I believe we actually have one down in Armour. Wagner. That swims with the club as well. Currently, right now, our kids, our club is down in numbers because of the situation with the pool. We have there's probably still 20 families, 25 families making up about 36 swimmers between us and Huron. About 20 of them are coming from Mitchell and driving to Huron. We have lost some to the Sioux Falls swim team. And, hopefully when everything's back to normal, we will have our numbers back to where they were. We were maxing out around that 90 swimmers at our club. So we are down quite a bit from that due to the circumstances that we're in. When we got on the committee or on the board, we were really been talking with Kevin, and we really wanted to be able to host a meet at the pool before the winter season was over, just to give our kids that are making the commute to Huron every day a chance to swim in Mitchell at home. The Huron pool is 25 meters, so we wouldn't be able to hold a meet there because indoor meets are 25 yards. There is some differences, calculations they can do to make a 25-meter pool work, and you can still qualify for state, but Huron's facility also isn't set up to bring in a lot of spectators. So when we heard the chance that there was going to be a possibility to hold a meet, we kind of jumped on it and tried to get some numbers out to everybody based off. The numbers that I sent are based off the meet that we had in October last year. Those were the financials that we came through. Those are last October's numbers. The unfortunate thing is our meet, based on the number of people, families that we have to volunteer and work it, is going to be one long day instead of over 2 days. And I don't know where our numbers are, or will be by there. Our goal, our hope is we're going to have about 75 swimmers here. It'll be consisting of our club. Right now we have commitments from Sioux Falls and Yankton swim team. The big thing that we did for our meet to draw people in is we added the mile to it. With the state B, or the last chance for you to qualify for the main state meet is out in Rapid City. And we're hearing that a lot of the distance swimmers don't want to drive all the way out to Rapid City to swim one event. So some of the feedback we got from coaches on our side, on the eastern side of the state, is if you had this mile in there, we'd maybe be able to bring some more swimmers down to it that don't want to travel 2 weeks later all the way out to Rapid City for 1 or 2 events. So I don't know. With that, anybody have any questions?
We'll have water.
Fingers crossed, that's what we're hearing,
Right now,
so.
the leak test is going on, so before making all the repairs, there is water in the competition pool as it
Okay.
was over there yesterday.
Okay.
I haven't heard a report on that, I'll hear it at 3 o'clock my next meeting.
Okay.
And this is our hope to have this meet, and there's a chance that depending on construction, as we know, that it may not happen. But, if that's the case, we'll write a check back to you guys for whatever the difference is that way. But this is a good chance to kind of, if you want to call it a re-grand opening, to get people back into the pool area and show them what's happening with everything that's going on. And we got our fingers crossed it's going to be open by then, so.
And we did send out an email to all the parents of the families that maybe didn't swim because of they couldn't drive to Huron or couldn't commit to going to either Huron or Sioux Falls. And when we told them that the pool is starting to get worked on, and there is a potential still that we could have a meet here, so we've got some of them already kind of looking forward to coming back and maybe driving to Huron for a couple weeks or 3 weeks leading up to that. So we hopefully we'll have our numbers up a little bit more even before this meet starts. So it was nice to be able to send out some positive publicity about the pool and the swim club and how things are going. So we're definitely got some things going back on the right track. We've got a couple of local assistant coaches that we're going to get started with us once we have water again. So one's a DWU student, and the other one is a local trainer in town that used to swim for the Mitchell Aquatic Club back when it was that. So.
Is there any other meets going on that weekend?
Not in the area. I know that unfortunately when we reached out to Brookings, they were committed to one in Marshall, Minnesota already. But not on that weekend. We picked it because when we looked through the meets, there wasn't any on the eastern side, and usually Pierre holds a meet this weekend. They decided not to. They're holding it earlier. So we're going to be one of the only meets that will be within the last 2 weeks before the championship weekends start. So
if you don't get it in that weekend, you won't get it in.
we won't. Nope.
Whatever happened to the above-ground pool that you practiced in?
We got rid of that before it became more of a liability.
Yeah.
It was on its last leg.
That was across the street.
Yep.
I think it had like a 3-year useful life, and I think we used it for 7 or 8. So it was done by the time it was.
Yeah, we had patched that one enough. So that thing was, when the pool got done, we were more than happy to drain that thing and get rid of it.
Any other questions for these guys?
Thanks for your efforts.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Like you to step up and start the wheels turning.
Well, yeah, we had
We'll get there. We'll get there again, so.
Thank you for that.
yeah.
Yep,
Thank
good
you,
luck.
guys.
Keep your fingers crossed for the pool. Next, we will go to Village Bowl, the Larry Hauser Memorial, with Nate Siebert for a grant of $1,500.
Hello, I'm Nathan Sievert with the Village Bowl and the Larry Hauser Memorial Adult Junior Doubles Tournament. It's a mouthful. We have done it the last few years, but it's been very local in between our first and second half of our youth season. We have a third-party tournament coming to town in March on the 26th. And it was kind of brought to our attention about maybe having some type of a weekend outing for people to come to Mitchell. So we actually moved our Larry Hauser to the 25th. And what we're looking at doing is making it a weekend where, with our location from here on Madison, Brookings, Sioux Falls, Chamberlain, I think we'll have a pretty good turnout with our own tournament there, pairing it with that third-party tournament. That third-party tournament, this is their first year operating. They're going to have 5. We'll be the 4th one. Their first 2 have had 35 and 31 bowlers, which they're pretty happy about for just starting. I think we could probably easily get to 40 and 50 with even some of our local bowlers. But the plan is to have our tournament end around 4 or 5 o'clock on a Saturday, leaving time for people to get out in our community to spend the night, get them here, overnight stays. I know you guys like. I have reached out to the theater. They're going to come up with, if not movie passes, some concessions to try and help incentivize people coming and spending the night. So my plan is to have our tournament end on 4 or 5 on Saturday. They have the evening to catch a movie, hang out at the hotel, go out and eat in the community. And then they'll have their tournament on Sunday morning. Registration's at 9. They'll start bowling at 10. And then I think that goes till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Then they'll go home. So that's kind of the gist of that. Typically, with all of our adult tournaments, we kind of get sponsors from other area businesses that maybe get more of a kickback from the adults, but with the kids, it's not really fun to have Bud Light or Miller Lite on a flyer. So, but yeah, our goal right now is $1,500, and that's going to go all towards the scholarship fund. When these kids come out and bowl, they do get scholarship money. We've had kids that are 6, 7 years old that they get a smart account set up, and they can put money in there all the way up until they graduate, and then they have access to that when they go to college. So that money goes in those accounts. Yeah.
Are you reaching out to the other communities to let them know?
Oh yeah, yep. It's something kind of new, and especially with this third party, she's going to be a huge help in promoting this as well. And I think there are a lot of individual and team events for the youth throughout the season, but there's nothing where they can bowl with an adult. So I think that's going to be pretty key to parents can bowl with their kids, an adult friend, adult sibling. So kind of something that they don't really get to do any other time. So.
Any other questions for Nate? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I think, is, we have to call Jim on the telephone.
Same as last year.
2003.
You have entered an invalid account code.
Okay, Bill.
You could just re-enter it if you get that message. You don't have to start over.
No, that happens more often.
It happens all the time. I don't know why. And you put the exact same code in the second time and then it works. So, you can use mine.
What does it cost to rent a Class 6 or a Dallas for $1,250? So is it make a difference if you just do it in the afternoon or evening, or you got to set the info all day, half the time, different prices? So then what else do they have to pay? They have to pay for like police supervision and stuff like that?
No, they will pay for ticket taker
volunteers, and then,
So they don't provide those tickets, they can do those up?
we do, we use our kids for the most part, it's volunteers, we volunteers, we don't charge them. If we have, if we use our people, we have to charge them.
And then scoreboard operation and stuff like that, and lights.
Referees and the table workers.
But as far as what the corn cows actually does, that's
$12.50.
$12.50 for one day.
And then ticket.
Nobody's made that.
And then we do 5% of the gross ticket sales.
Okay.
Which is, that's 2 years ago, that was something that was new. So let's say if there's, $1,000, because $50 for $1,000.
So is there anything that we have in there that people complain about, saying the charge is too much, or do they complain about that in tax? So you can't understand what this should be having, but oh my God, it's going to cost us $750 or something. I didn't know anything about it.
Not really, I mean.
Has that been going on for a long time?
That rate?
Yeah.
It went up, 2020, so I went up, it was at $1,000, so I took $1,250.
You didn't,
The
it's
full,
not last year, did you?
or project, I get a bank,
Yeah.
or the, as a banquet, you're 17.
Because you get set up with all that kind of stuff.
Tables and chairs and all that kind of stuff.
So the answer to that basically is $12.50.
That's,
They have to provide, they have to pay for ticket sellers, that security.
no, we don't do that, not unless they request it. If they request it, then that's extra.
You don't have to, so the only have a policeman there is if they ask for it, correct, right?
Or if a basketball player is an athletic director, you can charge them. Same with Mitchell Higher at the Westlake. If they want security, then yeah, then either they pay for it, or they pay for it.
$12.50 sounds pretty.
So,
I mean, it sounds, I shouldn't say, it sounds very reasonable. Yeah.
For profits are $17.50.
I think so. I thought it was serious.
No, it's gonna get like
I didn't mean to say
error
that.
message on it.
Good afternoon, Hanson School. This is Dawn.
Yes, is Jim Bridge available, please?
Let me check here. Just one moment.
Hello, this is Jim Bridge.
Jim, it's Aaron Heeb, Mitchell Sports and Events Authority. We got the committee here if you want to go ahead and share some information about this year's Hanson Classics.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for making this option available here to meet with you on the phone versus in person. We're still in school today, so I'm that's the plan. But I don't know. Hopefully, most of you know a little bit about the Hanson Classic. It's our 40th year for the girls and 41st year for the boys. It's been in the Corn Palace ever since its inception. We have between 8 and 9 games every year for the girls, and then 8 and 9 games for the boys, depending on the lineup or what teams we had available. We're really proud of the lineup that we get every year. We get we feel like we get the quality Class B and A teams and towns that come to this, and that everybody, basically we get to pick from the crop, and then those that don't make it, a lot of times we'll get into somebody else's classic. Is a little bit kind of how it works, I guess. We've always appreciated the support from Mitchell and from Dakota Wesleyan and Mitchell High School as well, because it's when we can lock in those dates a year in advance to start contracting teams for next year. The Corn Palace does help sell the event. I mean, we don't have state events in there anymore, but sometimes we still have regional games or SODAC games in there. We used to have a lot of district and region games in there, so teams like to be in the Corn Palace. success of the Classic, I think, comes from having competitive games with an atmosphere that feels a little bit like a tournament, and it's really difficult to duplicate that during the regular season. And I think that's probably one of the motivational parts of being able to be in it. Unfortunately, just like everything else in the world, everything keeps going up and up and up as far as expenses, and I always worry about that probably more than I used to, but when you have that many things going on and have as many moving parts as we have involved with that, revenue starts to become a little bit more of a factor. We don't make money off the Classic. We use it for a lot of different things. Instead, we used to give a lot of money back to each school as a travel expense, and we've kind of pulled some of that back and went with more of a how can we make it better for the kids and make it better for the teams, and so that's why we started developing the scholarships. I wish we'd have done that 40 years ago instead of 12 years ago when we started doing the scholarships, because we probably could have really grown that a little bit better and faster. I don't know. Let's see, what else am I forgetting here? Works better if somebody has a question, I can try to answer without.
You just want to explain what the amount you requested and then what's it utilized for?
Yeah, we have to get enough help to run so many different things, whether it's a few years ago, we're always trying to figure out where we were losing money, and the back door seems to be a popular place for everybody and anybody to just come in the door. And so we asked for volunteers back there, so it wasn't just a free-for-all of anybody. And that used to be kind of the standing joke. You just come through the back door and everybody got in. Well, we started stationing people back there, and they'd had to go around and pay. Another thing is the old guy that used to work at the front door, he was always dressed real nice. He's passed away now, but he used to say, "Man, Jim, you sure give away a lot of free passes." And then everybody here always made a joke about that too. Well, we've backed off on that too, because it seemed like nobody wanted to pay to get in the Hanson Classic. But we use that for our hospitality for our workers. We provide, whether it's a little lunch. We catered at one time, and we didn't get very much for what we had catered, and so I got a little more resourceful, and we used our FACS class or our home ec class and teacher to help do that and make kind of a learning experience out of it, or a teachable moment. And they provide some things so they go and buy the groceries and set everything up. But for all the backdoor workers, the clock, the book, shot clock, managing different things, the referees each used to have somebody that would go out there with a towel and a bottle of water, making sure that we just have all of our volunteers have something, because some of them are there for maybe a couple hours. Some people are there from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. And so we use that for the hospitality room, which is for the workers or maybe a school administrator or coach or somebody like that, the referees. And so that's what we use that portion of the sponsorship for, is the back.
Jim, your budget, Jim, that you've been asking for 2,000, everybody knows food costs are going up. Is that all right? Is that what you're asking for again?
Well, I put that price down. I'm terrible at asking for money, because you guys get hit by everybody. I think we welcome whatever. So I don't know what your budget is, but that's what they gave us last year, so that's what I put down. We make work whatever, and that's for both weekends. I think we spent about $1,250 on the boys and $750 on the girls is how we broke it down. for the budget that we put together. I just put down the same amount as last year.
Do you promise the teams like anything as far as meals or?
We do, but that doesn't come out of that. The National Guard and Coca-Cola help with that as one of the other sponsors, and Subway. Between those three, we kind of make sure that every player, coach gets at least a sub sandwich and a pop or something like that after the game. So this money does not go towards that, but if we didn't use all this money, we use it for the water, or whatever, something we need for, it gets spent. I don't know. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Jim, Doug Greenway here. Would you have any thoughts on, would any teams be staying overnight at all of the two classics?
They have in the past. I mean, a lot of times it might depend on when a team plays and who they're playing or how far they're traveling or the weather. Like, obviously, if it was weather like we're going to have in the next couple of days, teams might come the night before, or they'll stay that night after and stay for the late games and then go home the next day. I got asked that question, and I never have ever really researched because it's really hard. I did an unofficial survey from each athletic director or coach one time, and it's not like, I mean, there might have been 3 or 4 teams, 5 teams that stayed, but there were fans. They knew there were other people that stayed. I mean, people from Ethan and Alec maybe aren't going to get a motel room, but people from St. Thomas More and, you know, some of the other schools that we have, shoot, I don't even have that list in front of me, but some of the teams that travel a distance.
I think White River stays quite often.
Yeah, White River, Desmet, even Sully Buttes, a lot of those teams that have come a distance come and make kind of a fun day out of it for their group. But then there's just the casual fans that come along with the team and stay. So I've never really researched it that hard because it's hard for me to call and ask them, and they got somebody at the front desk. I know when Dan Sabers ran his place, he was really good about sending messages out to those schools, inviting them for a special rate, and it was nice to have somebody who appreciated or understood the classic and who the group is that you're trying to market, and tried to communicate with them, that they had a place there and gave them maybe a special rate or something like that. Always helps, but I don't know. But when I did that one time, I was kind of shocked at how many rooms there were that added up over the 2 weekends. I mean, one weekend a couple years ago, I think we had, my rough guesstimate was 200 rooms, and I about fell off my chair. I thought, well, I'm probably messing up here somehow and should be trying to figure out how to recoup something out of that, but I didn't. But I would like to know it so that I can tell you people, what the Classic does for you. And I guess I just keep hoping that people in Mitchell recognize when the Hanson Classic comes to town that it's a benefit to the community.
Jim, you've got the girls lineups or teams in here. Do you have the boys? Have you chosen the teams for the boys yet? Is that public knowledge?
The boys and the girls, yeah. You have are you at a computer right now?
Yeah, unless you got it, Aaron. You didn't get the boys, did you, Aaron?
No, I don't think the boys are in here.
No, the boys is just the back.
Do you know who's coming in from West River on the boys' side, Jim?
Yeah, I can tell you that. I thought I sent it. A lot of times when I send that out, I send it out to the schools, but I didn't send it to anybody else. So the boys' classic this year is White River, Gregory, DeSmet, Bridgewater, Emory, Harding County, Aberdeen Christian, Canastota, Lower Brule, Sioux Valley, St. Thomas More, Dakota Valley, Winter, Hanson, Clark Willow Lake, Mount Vernon Plank, and Hamlin. That's the boys' teams alone. Which there's quite a few of them that have traditionally. They aren't going to drive probably. They're going to stay one of those nights, I would guess. The girls, Corsica Stickney, Viborg Hurley, Castlewood, Centerville, Howard, Woolsey Wessington, Coleman Egan, Arlington, Wagner, Parkston, Flandreau, Florence Henry, Vermilion, St. Thomas More, Mount Vernon Plank, Hanson. And honestly, when we do this, we have to be really careful that we don't bring in so many teams from a distance, because if they don't follow, we don't get people in the Palace. Everybody wants to get in the Classic, but if they bring 7 people and everybody does that, there ain't going to be a crowd in the Palace. And so you got to try to have a mixture of local, and then you got to have some from a distance, and hope that they travel and follow. But over the years, as our gate kept going down and our ticket sales kept going down and becoming less of a priority, I mean, if Clark Willow Lake could stay and watch it on the cable TV over the last 10 years, the casual fan might just do that. And so I don't want to bring it up, but last year, we became sort of a laughing stock, I guess, a little bit about how there was, the pay-per-view thing, and we weren't doing it in spite of anybody other than to try to recoup some expenses to keep the thing afloat. And it became kind of a sore subject around town, and we got a lot of bad publicity for that, and I don't know what else we could have done to avoid it. I mean, the only other option is just let everybody come in and stream it and then not make anything. But we followed the state baseball tournament kind of model, or how they did it, and we were able to recoup some expenses.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you guys always trying to help us. I understand it's always a tough job when there's people standing there with a handout, but do really appreciate it, all the years. And I can tell you I have less years of working at the Hanson Classic than I have experience now ahead of me. So I'm kind of I'm in the fourth quarter here for sure. My career.
All right, Jim, we'll be in contact with you here later this week.
Yep, no worries. You guys stay safe. Thanks a lot.
You too. Thanks.
Next, we'll have Hoop City Classic. We'll try to get Ernie Kuiper on the phone here.
Stephanie, so you just dialed the number and then hit the green button?
Well, they did.
Or you can do the green button.
They lost by. Huskers were 15.5-point winners.
I'm surprised that.
They're always on channel 7.
Rapid flight.
Well, their parents all travel too.
Yep.
And I think they're headed somewhere.
Big day last night.
I don't remember when they played, but one of them's Thursday and Tuesday.
Now you're home. 1220.
What's the matter? Oh.
And if it says the account code is incorrect, just redo it. Because I know sometimes it takes 3 tries to get it to work.
Ernie speaking.
Ernie, Aaron Heeb, Mitchell Sports and Events Authority here. We got the committee present. You can fire away when you're ready.
Appreciate it, Aaron. Heard it's pretty darn cold there, huh?
Yeah, we got a little
Cold
moisture
enough.
too.
It's not good. Anyway, so, yeah, I'll fire away. Appreciate you guys taking your time today. Youth Athletic Foundation, the Hoop City Classic, going on, this will be year 11. We've done 10 years, so this will be year 11. We requested $10,000 grant It'd be used for obviously travel, hotels, marketing, refs, Corn Pals fee, go to those fees to help cover a portion of those. We're going 2 days in Mitchell, December 28th and 30th this year. We'll have over 9 games each day. We'll have over 25 in-state teams, 10 plus out-of-state teams this year from Arizona, Tennessee, Minnesota, Wyoming, and of course South Dakota. We just appreciate your guys' support, and we're planning over probably a $50K plus budget at a minimum, I'd say, this year, and I'll let you guys fire away if you have any questions coming my way.
So like how many games are Mitchell already compared to what you're doing in the Pentagon?
We're double. We've got at least 18. I'm actually in the middle of adding another girls game and a couple JV games in Mitchell. T just hit me with an email this morning. The T girls look for games. So we have 18 plus games at the Corn Pals, and at the Pentagon we're probably looking at, I want to make sure I'm right here, I'll add these, I think there's like 8 games at the Pentagon. I believe we got 18,
So like
18 in Mitchell.
So like what teams are at the Pentagon? Are there any prep teams at all coming, or is it those days kind of over a little bit?
Those days, we have one prep team. The team from Arizona is the prep team and the only prep team that we'll have in it. And they'll play in Mitchell, and Dream City International out of Arizona. They'll play at the Pentagon, and they'll also play in Mitchell both. We have Houston High School out of Tennessee that has Mike's son will be playing in it, Maverick again this year, and then we have several teams out of Minneapolis, Minnesota area, including De La Salle, Totino Grace, and we have the couple teams out of Wyoming, Campbell County, and Thunder Basin coming in also.
Are some of those out-of-town teams playing Wednesday and Friday in Mitchell?
Yes. Yep. Several. Yep. Thunder Basin, Campbell County, Houston High School. Yeah.
So they'll probably stay in Mitchell then.
Correct. And I know we working with Comfort in some. I know the Arizona team for sure. I don't know exactly where all the teams are staying. I'll shoot out an email this week. I'll try to figure out where the teams are staying. But the Wyoming teams have told me they're staying in Mitchell for sure. There's a couple teams there. And I do know the Arizona team is for sure also. And there might be a couple local teams that stay. I don't know. We're gonna shoot out my team, shoot out an email, and try to get some specifics this week.
Anybody have any other questions? I think we're good.
You in Vegas right now, Ernie?
Yeah. Just got done running the Jack Jones Classic. It was Saturday and last night. So just wrapping that event up, and then heading back to Memphis and getting ready to come to the Corn Pals. Looking forward to it. Heard it's going to be cold this year, huh?
It always is. Just don't make it snow.
Yeah, please don't snow.
All right, Ernie.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate your guys' time.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you.
thanks for finding time to step away to talk about the event.
I appreciate you guys, and we look forward to being back at the Corn Pals a couple days this year. We're excited. So thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
See you in a couple weeks, Ernie.
Yep.
Bye.
Okay. We'll do the approval of last meeting's minutes. A motion by John, second by Jocko. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Financial report, Stephanie has that pulled up.
Yep, this is as of December 5th, so obviously we have some more to come in yet for the December payments. There was still 2 unreported for November and October. Just a couple things to point out when you take your already approved items. I haven't seen anything get paid yet for Special Olympics this year. Is that still coming, or?
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Okay. So when those come off, then your fund balance less committed is 33,000. Like I say, every month. Obviously, more revenue is going to come in before you spend those out. But just so that you know, if it were to go away tomorrow, that's what you have remaining to pay. If you want to look at the year-to-date comparisons, this is through November 30th. You can see that this year in 2022 is the highest year that we have since 2017. It's the most collected, and that is with one less hotel, with the Ramada being gone. So it's the highest amount that we've had through November since we go back to 2017 when the bid started. And then this bottom chart just shows you your year-to-date collections compared to other years. So we're 2.7% above 2021. COVID, we all know, was awful, so we're 28.9% above 2020. And then again, 2% above 2019 and 2.1 above 2018. When we get the last numbers, you'll see the final report for the year in January. Any questions? 2024 and 2025 you have down as being basketball. No. And then we're back to fall in 2026 is when we had that meeting with them. Any other questions?
A motion?
So moved.
Motion by Tim, second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. You gonna go over some evaluations?
Yeah, I can just run through the 3 evaluation forms financials that we received. First one was the Palace City Pre-Sturgis Party. That was the first Thursday of August. 5,000 plus spectator attendance, 400 plus hotel rooms sold. No actual statistics, but assume most hotels were full for the event. Tourists, bikers going through for Sturgis. 15,000 was what was awarded to them, assisted with the payment of entertainment. I guess we've already had 2 successful planning meetings with the city representatives, Chamber, CVB, Mitchell Main Street and beyond, and then Clockworks getting ready for the 2023 event. Next one, the Pheasant Country Banquet, October 14th. I didn't really pay much attention to how successful this event is being from Mitchell, but 675 total spectators, just based on tickets sold. Kevin included 3 with a question mark for hotel rooms. I assume Pheasant opener report showed it looked like pretty full capacity as far as hotel rooms with hunters and visitors for the banquet as well. The 1,500 covered the Corn Palace rent. I know we've also talked to them about supporting the youth hunt that Doug talked about during the presentation that he had for the application. And then just a very successful event, banquet income over $85,000. I don't know, Mr. Greenway, if you want to say anything about it, or?
It's the biggest banquet in the United States for Pheasant Unlimited. So they're a very organized board, and they're really aggressive in selling tickets. And it was good again to get in, get out. They do a setup on Friday afternoon, so they're at $1 they pay at Corn Palace for a half day and a full day. They set up on Thursday afternoon, have a banquet Friday night, but obviously it's out of commission all day Friday.
So are the numbers consistent to how it's been? It's going, it hasn't died down in popularity?
Even COVID, they had, here's at 500, over 500.
Really?
Yeah. And they made some changes, they've been open to some changes, I think that's been good. How they serve the food and where we set the bars, that's helped enhance the event.
It's nice to get the hunters downtown for one night, because otherwise they just kind of hang out south of town or south of town all the time, so.
Or north of
What's that?
Or north of town.
Okay, last evaluation form was the most recent, the NAIA National Championship Volleyball Opening Round match versus Kansas Wesleyan. Spectator attendance 851, 8 to 10 hotel rooms, base team personnel, KW family and fans. Awarded was the $1,500 just to offset the expenses of hosting the event, rent, game workers, etc. John?
No, it was good. It was a good turnout. I was actually surprised how many fans Kansas Wesleyan had there. They had a really good fan base, and so all in all, it was really good. And the funds that you guys awarded us obviously helped. So thank you for that. And yeah, it was a good event. Kansas Wesleyan, I know, was really appreciative of everything. You know, I think they put together some gift baskets for them, right? And yeah, hospitality wise, they loved coming here and they had a good experience, so. Except the outcome for that. Yep, correct.
All right, yeah, I can just, I just had a couple event recruitment updates. Mr. Greenway, we proposed a tentative date for the Dakota Territory Gun Collectors Association show. It would be Veterans Day weekend in November 10th through the 12th of 2023 at the Corn Palace. They meet for their annual meeting in Aberdeen in February. That sounds like they'll make a decision. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe they would bite on that a little sooner. That helps us out from a planning standpoint for, you know, 'cause we do have some early basketball games that have been held. The Wesleyan had a away game that Saturday of Veterans Day weekend this year. So we hadn't had one here for a few years, but anyway, I know the mayor was really trying to get that event back to Mitchell. And we would be a smaller event for them. I think I talked about that. 200 tables is what they think they could fit here versus like at Sioux Falls one, they have over 1,000 tables. So it takes a lot of space.
Yep, that would be event set up Friday morning, all day Friday, and then the event Saturday, I think 9 to 5, and then Sunday 9 to 3-ish. Just the second event, actually recently, Mr. Greenway and I met with Andrew Prieb. A lot of good feedback about the powerlifting event that Mitchell hosted at the lower level high school. And last Saturday, I believe, so we reached out to Andrew Prieb, who plays, I guess, a pretty significant role in the state of South Dakota as far as powerlifting goes. And I guess for about a little over an hour, we just tried to gather some information about the event, the potential of hosting it in Mitchell, potentially at the Corn Palace. The issue, I guess, as far as that event goes, it's nothing to do with the venue or the space. It's all about the equipment. Being able to obtain, I guess, all the warm-up competitive racks, the weights. And then, I guess, Sunday was brought up to potentially host a USA powerlifting that's a little smaller than a South Dakota state competition. That'd be right around 100 to 120 capped lifters. That would take place, I think right away, 7:30 he said would be weigh-ins, and then they start the event at 8 or 9, and then it wraps up between 4:30 and 5. And we talked about late March, early April, obviously before school's out and summer starts. So just waiting for him to get a few financials back as far as if it would be a possible option to host that event here in Michigan.
It'd be a really good get, because Andrew's, I mean, he's really, really well respected in the sport. He lives in Mitchell, and to have something like that here, to bring something here would be great, because he's not going to do that forever. If we can establish an event in Mitchell, there's a very good chance of keeping it. But once he goes away, you know, if he does or whatever, it'd be tough to get one here. Our location, but they're nice to be by a gym, right, because they have to go warm up. And for us, we have no gym nearby, so you literally bring all the warm-up equipment in and all the competition equipment in. Versus if you have it at a, let's say it's at the Great Life at Westland facility, they have a room to warm up in, they still have to bring in competition stuff. So you're moving everything when it's a site like this.
The one thing I was going to share, my daughter did the high school competition, and so it's, again, started, we had to be there, well, they had to weigh in at 8, and the competition started at 9. But just in the crowd, I know 2 of the schools that were competing all stayed over the night before, so because they could come lift, or also weigh in the night before, but just talking to the parents, they all came early, so they could be there right away in the morning. I was surprised at how many, like, I want to say Dupree. Now, do you remember the other team I said came from?
Was Belfouche then?
It was out west. I know 2
Yeah.
of them were from out west, and they all drove out. There's probably 10 or 11 people, couples, parents.
But just kind of like swimming, it takes a local person
Yeah.
who's doing the legwork to get these things started. We're the benefactors of that. You know.
So I don't know anything about it, but it's not like on TV where they're dropping the weights.
No.
They don't do that
No.
kind of stuff.
Well,
Not
no,
at
in fact, you can't drop it, that's, you're disqualified. if
You
drop
get a
it.
mark.
So they're doing presses and.
No, it's 3 weights, it's
They
bench
do-
press and deadlift and a squat.
Yep.
And it's all done on a platform that they bring in, so yeah, there'd be no concern for us.
The floor.
No, no. No, we drive tractors and elephants on it. We have
They're having one in Salem, I think next weekend or this weekend, and they have 300 lifters coming to it from across the state for the high school. We had like 50, I think they said at ours who, I don't know, I'm new to this, so.
It was good, it was a good discussion. Learned a lot.
Yeah, just the biggest obstacle, I guess, with the event is, again, getting the equipment. He's got some connections with Brandon Valley and Sioux Falls O'Gorman powerlifting squads, and then he also has, I guess, a reach out or a resource with Midland Lutheran. They'd be able to potentially load up their trailers and bring their equipment here.
You might be interested, obviously you're familiar with Midland Lutheran, and NAI, they win the national championship in powerlifting on a regular basis. Now that's competing with the LSUs and the Iowas and the Oklahomas of the world, yeah. They are the best in the country, right in the NAI conference, or GPAC conference.
There's a high schooler from Huron who won state and placed in the national powerlifting competition for high schoolers. Her parents own like a CrossFit there, so she was kind of crazy too.
Oh, Aaron, quick question about, you said you had a couple meetings on the Main Street Sturgis deal. Is that still kind of the plan to take that off of our shoulders, or how's that going?
They're not asking for funding from SEA this
They're
year.
not?
We actually plugged in funding into our entertainment tax budget.
Okay.
Just a banner display. Mr. Greenway had the logo, SEA logo, available or visible to the fans for sponsorship at Volleyball National Championship, and obviously I'll be a little more active or out and about with 5 potential applications on this month, getting the banners and information out to the events.
Okay, should we go on to our funding application?